forgot the cross dissolved, but we're back to Twitter. Actually, not Twitter. 249, but it's not Twitter anymore. X-Twitter. XX. It's not even, there's no X here anymore. Nothing to do with Twitter, as far as I know. They had an office in there. Look, it's Money Lion now. Speaking of lion, I don't know what Money Lion is. That might be worth looking into. Anybody heard of that before? Yeah, no Twitter anymore. I mean, I've been trying to tell people about this for 3 years, maybe. Something like that. Although, I mean, you know, not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm just, you know, sharing evidence that I see and let people form their own conclusions. This is all new. This wasn't here when I got attacked. This is where I was sitting. I think this standpipe, right? Isn't that it? Yeah, this was it. Sitting right here. Elon Musk's security guard was parked there with a Tesla, and I was looking down that way, and these assailants came at me. This whole area has been changed around a bit since then. Again, I'm not trying to tell people what to think. I'm just pointing out evidence as I see it. You might look at that same evidence and come to different conclusions than I have. It's up to you to do that. A lot of people send me stupid messages on X, on Twitter, whatever you want to call it, saying, oh, you know, this whole fight with Elon Musk and Trump, it's a show. Trump does this all the time. How do you know that? It's usually a fake named account that is telling me this when it says this kind of stuff. Is there video playing? It says upcoming. It's usually, you know, fake named accounts. I hope that's working. You never know, hit or miss with this kind of stuff. Fake named accounts, they know what Trump is doing. They know what Musk is doing. How do they know? I don't think they know. I think they're just saying that. Looks like it's working. That's a guess. These are people just sort of hold their finger up to the wind and make a friggin' guess. I hate that. That's a stupid way to do anything. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to share information with people. And like I said, you can come to your own conclusion. You might disagree with mine. People who enjoy these walk-arounds, I know everybody misses Charles. I miss Charles. It was nice on Sundays, particularly during the summertime, be able to walk around, look at the city as it's getting destroyed. That part wasn't nice, but at least keeps us in the loop as far as what's happening. People who enjoy these videos and this commentary can sponsor the show. Follow me on X at JG_CSTT, and you can subscribe on there. You can also sponsor the show on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. Oh yeah, and so I've taken Odyssey off of here because a lot of people are having difficulty with their cryptocurrency system. You can still subscribe to Odyssey. It's totally free, and it's still the largest repository of crowdsource the truth videos on the internet. For the next week or a couple days, people who had been subscribed on there are still getting the show for free, the sponsor exclusive shows. I hope those people will sponsor the show on paypal.me/crowdsource the truth. And thank you to the very generous sponsors. Somebody sent a sponsorship payment on paypal.me. It's really great. It's important, you know. I've been doing all the counter lawfare work and going around, traveling around to court to fight with Nina. She's such a bitch. She'll probably try to tell the judge, oh, he's calling me a bitch. I need a restraining order, mean words. He's saying mean things, and maybe the judge thinks I crossed the line. Nina has got a whole lot of legal motions coming at her. We'll see what she does. It's really mostly geared towards the judge. I'm trying to unravel these unconstitutional things that have been done to me, specifically retroactively vacate this unconstitutional order, because it still implicates my First Amendment rights and my ability to say certain things and share certain things. They want me to remove a rather large amount of content from the internet, most of which has absolutely nothing to do with Nina, and I don't really think she has a right to do that. We're going to see. If you're interested in the First Amendment and supporting that and your rights in court, consider sponsoring the show. But let's talk about Twitter, let's talk about X, let's talk about Elon Musk, and what the hell is going on. A lot of people are pissed off that he started this America party. I mean, I guess in concept, the idea of multiple viable political parties is good. I mean, I'm not a polling expert or a political expert. I think a lot of people have issues with that. Charles would probably tell us that the founding fathers, they didn't like the idea of political parties. They said that factions would form. That does seem to be what's happened. So maybe more is worse. I don't know. Maybe we want fewer rather than more, or none. I don't know. Definitely seems like manipulation goes on, but I don't know. I got this stupid message from somebody on X saying, oh, this is a show. You know, Steve Bannon saying this guy's going to jail, that guy's going to jail, it's all a show. I don't think that person knows. How do they know? How would they know? So I started thinking about this. Looks like the failover system is kicking in there. The other day, it told me it saved 137 stream failures. It's really working well now. I've got it dialed in. There have been a few upgrades to the underlying software. Better not say too much or it'll crap out on me here, but hopefully it's working well. So I wanted to take a look at a couple of things because, see, it's my opinion that Elon Musk, he's kind of like a Trojan horse who's been laying in wait maybe this whole entire time. I mean, like I said, I've been saying this for 2-3 years. I first started thinking that when I went over there to Twitter, ex-Twitter, formerly, the X formerly known as Twitter. When I went over there, I was there to tell him, hey, the FBI is controlling this piece of shit. Maybe you want to know that before you spend, what was it, 54 billion or whatever the ridiculous amount. Because also, remember, what was he talking about? He said, oh, he needs to do this. He doesn't care about the money. He needs to do this to bring back freedom of speech. It's a good sales pitch, I'll tell you that, right? A lot of people like that. He restored my account, restored Alex Jones, Laura Loomer, lots of people who had been kicked off. Hey, the Stonehenge Garden. Do they have a Stonehenge in there? Mini Stonehenge? Oh, I should go back to Madison Square Park. They don't have a mini Stonehenge there. Oh, look, we have some slowness. I got to get off of this street. We've got terrible internet on this street, it looks like. Kick in there, the failover system. Come on now. I see it catching up like crazy. People are going to say, buffering. Sorry, everybody. Let's see if it picks up. Huh, that was interesting, because see, I'm still not getting a picture over here on YouTube. Interesting, we got real crappy signal today, perhaps. Okay, well, anyway, he was talking about freedom of speech. He wanted to restore freedom of speech. And there was all this whole dust up with the advertisers, and you need to reconfigure it to have people pay to use it. It's up to, you can pay a lot for a subscription on Twitter. You know, I've got the articles that I can publish and long form video and all that stuff. Occasionally there are idiots who are like, oh, you're paying for Twitter? Boy, it looks like we're getting really crappy signal today. Why is that happening? Here I am lauding the failover system and it appears to be working like shit. Perhaps. I hope not. Come on, give us a signal here. He's talking about freedom of speech. Everybody can get behind that, except for Nina. She hates the First Amendment. She wants to control what you get to say on YouTube, etc. Twitter mostly. Anywhere on the internet, really, she's interested in controlling. Wow, it's such terrible signal today. Let's keep walking. Maybe we'll get to another better cell zone. I can't look at anything here on YouTube at all. Interesting. So was that real or was that a sales pitch? Was that like, 2014 hey, full self-driving, it's coming any minute. He likes to say things and overpromise certain things, it seems. And I don't know. See, the thing that was interesting to me is that people will remember I got all jammed up in this lawsuit with the Emmys. That came about from a Twitter executive who now is in charge of the Emmys. That's Adam Sharp. But when Elon Musk was looking to buy Twitter, he tangled with Alwaleed. Oh, this is the first thing I want to tell everybody out. The United States secretly created a Cuban Twitter, right? So the Cuban Twitter, this was created in 2010. USAID started this Zuneo, the social network built on texts in the hope it could be used to organize smart mobs to trigger a Cuban Spring. This is what I wanted to tell everybody about with Adam Sharp. They wanted to trigger a Cuban Spring. They wanted to create a revolution in Cuba in July 2010. I don't know who this guy Joe McSpeed is. He's a U.S. government official, but this article tells us that guy, he doesn't work for the CIA, he works for the USAID, something that they just shut down. Now, I guess Elon Musk is involved in doing that, but about this stuff, I'm not here to proclaim that I know everything that's going on, and I certainly don't. I'm just saying, here's evidence. Let's look at it. So that guy, he wants to create a Cuban Twitter. They want a Cuban Spring. I forgot to load this video into the phone, but Adam Sharp, professional fucking asshole, is a second-generation CIA puke. As far as I can tell, I could be wrong. That hasn't been proven in court. That's my opinion based on looking at various elements of public domain evidence, including a YouTube account run by Adam Sharp called the Roger Sharp Archive. You can search for that on YouTube. It's still there. And it's videos curated by Adam Sharp about his dead father, who appears to have worked for the CIA. It's videos of him in 1950 in Florida, hanging out with a bunch of Cuban nationals, talking about whatever the hell they're doing. There's also videos of his father, Adam Sharp's father, Roger, hanging out in the Dallas police station on November 22nd, 1963. That could be a coincidence. I don't know. He's the only guy running a remote video feed there. You know, it was pretty rare back in those days. The satellite that enabled that kind of live video broadcast, the Telstar satellite, I think that only went into space in May of 1963. So this kind of live televised video broadcast, it was a new phenomenon. You can even see in the video, it's so foreign to the average person on the street in Dallas in 1963. The cops are having conversations, getting right in the way of where the video broadcast is happening, because they just don't understand what that is. They see a camera, maybe they've never seen a television camera before. Maybe they've never seen a guy standing there with a microphone talking to a camera. They just have no idea what it is, what he's doing. It was a different time. But anyway, Adam Sharp's father is there. He's telling everybody Lee Harvey Oswald shot. He was hanging out with the Cubans in Tampa Bay. Was he trying to create a Cuban Spring in 1950, whatever? I don't know. A lot of people might think that, but so we see that USAID wanted to create a Cuban Twitter and a Cuban Spring. I wanted to show people this segment. Remember, we saw a video when they had the Hunter Biden was getting questioned by the Senate. I think it was October 28th, 2020. The New York Post had just published a story about Hunter Biden's cracked up laptop and all the information that we got from that. It was only 2 weeks after that story had come out. Remember, they had been banned on Twitter, all of this discussion about social media censorship. So Adam Sharp was an executive at Twitter for many years. November 2010, Adam Sharp became Twitter's U.S. government liaison. And you might say, oh, but Jason, that guy, Joe, was trying to make the Cuban Spring in April. Adam Sharp didn't show up at Twitter until November. But Adam Sharp was very involved with Twitter for many years before he got hired there. He was integrating the Twitter API into C-SPAN, so that C-SPAN was tweeting about what was being broadcast. That was in 2008 or 9. He was kind of the most sophisticated Twitter user in Washington, D.C., it seems, from public domain evidence that I've seen. Nobody else even knew what the hell Twitter was, and this guy was integrating the API into C-SPAN so that when he had Valerie Caproni on there, the FBI General Counsel, people could look at Twitter and know that she was up in there talking about the FBI being so concerned about going dark, which was this problem that they had where people could interact through encrypted chats and end-to-end encryption of all sorts. The FBI didn't like that. They liked being able to, get up on a wire and listen to everything anybody was saying if that's what they wanted to do. So I think Adam Sharp was very involved with Twitter even before he worked there. I think he's a second-generation CIA puke, and by that I mean his father was in the CIA and so was he. I think. I don't know that, but it looks that way. So, Jack Dorsey, beard enthusiast, Jack Dorsey was, I heard somebody else say that, he's a schmuck. He's also a low-dose acid enthusiast, I think. But Jack Dorsey was getting questioned by the Senate, and this was critical days before the election. This was like roller derby, and they're right up to the minute, they're throwing elbows, getting real worried that Trump might win. And that would have been a disaster for them. I think they had all kinds of cheating, in my opinion. I guess we're allowed to say that now. So this guy's now saying things that could get me banned. See, that's the thing. Third parties say things and I'm gonna get penalized for that. That's part of the reason why people should become sponsors in some of these alternate platforms. This is just life here in New York City. I'm documenting it, and that's interesting to some people. But so when the Senate was questioning Jack Dorsey about his subversive spying platform, social media platform, Twitter, there was somebody else who was running his mouth. It was Adam Sharp. He was being questioned by some hot chick on CNBC. Let's listen to this.
Well, certainly these platforms are built on engagement. The core driver is what gets you to click that like button, to click that share button. And for years, the algorithms of all these platforms have been optimized for exactly that. And that optimization is exactly what the spreads of disinformation are counting on. But as I said before, it is impossible to divorce these dynamics from each other. It's impossible to say, I want to make sure that all the dynamics are there so that positive content can spread and go viral, and you can have an Arab Spring, a Black Lives Matter, all these movements that foment beautifully on the platforms, but I want to make sure that content that I might not approve of immediately stops dead in its tracks.
He wants to make sure that content he doesn't approve of, I don't know why the sound stopped. He wants to make sure content he doesn't approve of gets stopped in its tracks. Anyway, Abraham Lincoln. So he likes the Arab Spring and Black Lives Matter. That foments beautifully on the platform. Almost sounds like he's speaking like somebody who designed those programs. Wow, let's create an Arab Spring with Twitter. Let's create. Wow, look at that buffering. I just don't understand what's going on here. It should be a strong signal. Very bad. Why is it doing that? We're just gonna have to live with that, unfortunately. So he's speaking like somebody who has created that damn thing. He wants content that he approves of. Just listen to the language that he's using there. I kind of can't believe it. Adam Sharp is a disgusting guy, in my opinion. Let's see how the live video is doing on Twitter. Looks better. Maybe no. It's still buffering like crazy. Why does it always do this to me? I go to all this trouble and expense to make these videos work well, and then I get all this damn buffering. So he's telling CNBC, and then of course we know what happened. You know, Trump lost. I think they cheated. And then we had a disastrous 4 years of Joe Biden creating that war in Ukraine. How many people died from that? Nina was involved in the media in Ukraine prior to the war. She gets very upset when I talk about that in court. And look at the lengths they've gone to prevent me from talking about Nina. It's going to be interesting to see what they do now that this restraining order has been lifted and I'm allowed to tell people that it's my opinion that she was involved in spreading propaganda that led to a war that killed hundreds of thousands. How can that vile human being live with herself? Nina Jankowicz, such a horrible person, in my opinion. This is my opinion. No one should act on anything that I'm saying. Definitely don't contact her. Definitely don't do anything to her. Don't threaten her. You'll get jammed up like I did. But this is weird. It almost seems like it's the connection between this phone. Let me see if I can do something to resolve this. Stand by for a moment, everybody, and maybe we can relieve this issue. What if we disconnect this? Let's make sure that we're not in low data mode. We're not. I don't understand what the problem is. That's very strange. Maybe just reconnecting it will help. We'll try. Is that any better? Maybe that's better. So, Adam Sharp, he loves the Arab Spring. He wants to be able to censor platforms. Who else wants to censor social media platforms? Oh yeah, Nina. Now wait a minute, was GameStop always there? GameStonk? I don't know. But back to Twitter, you know, there's a lot of things that sometimes don't sit right with me, like these anomalous elements of evidence. A lot of people say, no, I like all the other evidence, don't worry about that. I don't care that the police death photo, the crime scene photo in the hotel where Peter Smith died had 2 helium tanks in there. I don't care about that. He's dead. But we've got a video that shows him purchasing only 1 helium tank. To me, that's an extremely anomalous piece of evidence that's got to be explained if we want to understand what the hell is going on there, because obviously, where did the second helium tank come from? No, it doesn't seem to have fixed it. How do we have 2 helium tanks if there's only a video of him buying 1 and Walmart only had 1 in stock? So why is Elon Musk buying Twitter? Remember, when he wanted to buy it, there was this whole dust-up where this also really reprehensible guy, Alwaleed bin Talal, he didn't want him to buy it. Do people remember that? Saudi prince, Alwaleed. He rejected Elon Musk's Twitter takeover bid in a tweet, saying, oh no, Elon Musk can't have it. This was April 2022. It was going on for quite a while that Elon Musk wanted to buy Twitter. And he said that this 54 million or whatever, $54 per share, 44 billion, that it was, it didn't come close to the intrinsic value, the inherent value. What inherent value? What the hell was he talking about? Not the inherent stock value. I don't think that was it, because I remember I was talking to Charles about this when it was happening, and Charles said he thought it was crazy, that he thought that Twitter never earned money. I mean, you got to remember, it's good to ask people advice and keep in mind that they're giving you advice through the context of what they know. Like if you ask Charles for advice about what kind of car to buy, I did that actually, or I didn't actually ask him advice. I just told him I was going to buy a car, and he said, don't buy a new car, buy a used car, because they depreciate so much in the first, 12 months or whatever. And I said, yeah, I know about that. However, the car I wanted was a hybrid mini SUV, and it was the first year they made it, so there were no used cars available. And I also found the price to be impossibly low at the time. And so I bought that car on a loan, and the following year the price went up 50%. I can't explain that. But I think Charles would agree with you that I made a very good decision based on the fact that I know a lot more about the technology of cars than Charles does and what I wanted to do with the car. I knew I wasn't going to use this car for driving around New York City or going from my house to my office and local restaurants around town. A lot of people have electric cars with maybe a 200-mile range and they think that's fantastic. For me, that wouldn't work at all. I wanted to do long road trips with the car, use it as a replacement for air travel. And I knew I was going to be driving long distances. I didn't want to wait at a charging station for hours. I wanted to be able to gas it up and go another 500 miles. And so anyway, the point is, whenever you ask somebody advice, they're giving you that advice through the lens of what they know. And so Charles was evaluating Twitter at the time just as a pure investment. And I mean, you know, he's looking at comparable things, Facebook, Instagram, other social media platforms, and how much money they made and what their stock was trading for and what these things were worth compared to traditional type of companies. So I don't think that's what Alwaleed is talking about when he's talking about the share price and the inherent value. I think Alwaleed has some other plans for Twitter that are perhaps more aligned with Adam Sharp's plans. He likes Arab Spring and he likes Black Lives Matter and things that foment coups d'etats and various disruptions in various countries. I think that's the impression I get. Oh, wow. Look at this. Corvette. Now, is this a Z06? Vosin. I don't know. It looks like it's been modified or something. Anyway. But so the really weird thing is, because I remember monitoring this quite closely, I'm pretty interested in Alwaleed bin Talal. He's been a figure in the media for a long, long time. I never heard about him before 9/11. That's when I became interested in him, because he had a lot of dumb shit to say about 9/11. Remember, he gave Rudy Giuliani like a check for $10 million or $1 million or something like that, and Giuliani famously ripped it up or refused it in some dramatic way. And then he was on Larry King and he was like, Alwaleed, were you surprised Giuliani didn't take the money? Yes, Larry, I was very surprised. I remember watching that and I was like, who is this clown? But that was Alwaleed. So, Alwaleed, right, and then after Alwaleed said, no, we're going to do this poison pill thing, you can't have Twitter, Elon Musk, he then, within 3 weeks, he reversed course on Twitter and said Elon Musk is his new friend. I found that weird. This was just May 5th, maybe like 3 weeks later. This is Bloomberg, new friend, Elon Musk. So he said it took less than 3 weeks for Prince Alwaleed bin Talal Al Saud to flip. And he says, it's great to connect with you, my new friend. I remember seeing that and thinking, boy, that is a really stark contrast. That's quite weird. Why is Alwaleed, why am I frozen there? See, there's something wrong here with my connection from camera on stick to phone. This is so disappointing. Everything else is working quite well. Can we get this to cooperate, do we think? There we go. Yeah, so Alwaleed flip-flopped, and I remember at the time thinking that is a little something that I would like to hear an explanation of. What the hell exactly was said that where Alwaleed did a 180. But so what's up with Alwaleed? I mean, and what did Elon Musk say? Do we have a better idea of what it might have been now that Elon Musk has said all kinds of crazy things about Donald Trump that are maybe not so helpful? Did he say, oh, don't worry, Alwaleed, I understand the inherent value of Twitter. I'm going to use it to destroy Donald Trump. Remember, I went to Twitter to tell Elon Musk that the FBI was all up in there. I had not yet written this Twitter coup report, but I had all this information. I basically wrote this right after they put out the Twitter files. This was December 22nd. The Twitter files was like the first week of December, and it took me a long time to write this. I didn't have AI at the time, And I was just writing this 5-part article all by myself, but this was talking about how evidence in the public domain caused me to believe that Adam Sharp and Valerie Caproni, very likely at the behest of Barack Obama, who many people think was put into Harvard Law School by Alwaleed bin Talal. There's that picture of him sitting on the couch. I should have loaded that picture. He's sitting on the couch with somebody who looks a lot like a very young Alwaleed. And there's all these mysteries about how Obama got to Harvard, and some big donation from a Saudi prince went to Harvard or something like that. Was that Alwaleed? Don't really know. But so Elon Musk becomes friends with Alwaleed, and so he gets Twitter. Alwaleed pitches his billions into the Elon Musk Twitter buy, gives it his, he anoints it with his approval, because they were going to do a poison pill. That's weird to me, and it never was explained. That's another one of these anomalous pieces of evidence that never gets explained. Why would Elon Musk do that? And they go from, no, you can't have it, fighting him like crazy, to now suing him so he has to take it. That seemed super weird. So what else do we know about Alwaleed? Well, a lot of people will tell you, oh, he's saved Trump several times. Well, is that true, or is that a spin on what actually happened? I think it could be helpful for people to think about some of these statements in the context of, like, what would George's brother say about me? They like to set up these incredibly fucked up situations and then, mischaracterize them. Like, in other words, introduce me to Oki Marshall Richards, convince me that he's somebody I should trust, get him involved in setting up the Port of Charleston hoax that's supposed to send me to jail. And then when that doesn't work out, they say, oh, why was Jason interviewing this guy who's an FBI confidential informant? Why was he doing that? And I mean, the real answer is they introduced me to him, and I didn't understand the details of what that guy was all about at the time until it was way too late. So again, we hear about how Prince Alwaleed has saved Trump, and I mean, is that true? So Alwaleed, it's interesting to see, how did he become rich? Now that one we already know about. Yeah, the long feud between Alwaleed and the arrested prince. Remember, he was thrown into the Ritz-Carlton by MBS after the October 1st Las Vegas shooting. John Cullen would tell us that happened on Ashura, which I think is today. President Donald Trump's least favorite least figures, Prince Alwaleed, is under arrest. This was an article from right after, when the night of the purge, whatever it was, that occurred. And John Cullen has connected a lot of really interesting dots about that whole, the timing. They Julianne Jamal Khashoggi just basically 1 year to the hour inside the Saudi embassy, after 1 year after the Las Vegas shooting. I mean, isn't that sending a message? Seems like it. And Jamal Khashoggi worked for Alwaleed bin Talal. They were trying to create some, Arab CNN kind of thing, news network, media empire. Alwaleed recognizes the power of media. Maybe that's why he invested in Twitter. If you can control the media, maybe you can control what people think. That's what Nina wants to do. That's what Adam Sharp wants to do. I'm not doing that. I'm just telling you this stuff. You can make up your own mind. Here's another C8. Like I said, I'm looking at this evidence. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm not telling you what Trump is doing. I have no idea. These are my opinions based on public domain evidence. I feel like this is going to play in a really funky way by the time it gets to everybody on the internet. I hope that's not the case. Let's just see what the comments are saying. Do people see this all right, or is it a completely screwed up presentation? I don't know why it's doing this. It was working so well just the other day. Everything is pretty much the same. How are the comments here on YouTube? Beware of idols and heroes. Is it playing okay, everybody? repeating. Anyway, get out of the park, not good reception. Yeah, I know. I mean, something weird is going on. I don't understand what it is. I mean, I'm all over in places where I normally am. I have this failover system that's working great. Yesterday, it saved from 137 problems, but now I got 137 problems and internet connection is one. So yeah, Alwaleed and Trump have this long-standing feud. And Alwaleed, I had an article in there about how he first became a billionaire. It was his investment in Citibank. Yeah, here it is. Is this it? Yeah, how Prince Alwaleed became a billionaire. He invested in Citigroup in the 1990s, and this is what put him on the map, the international map. That was his investment in Citicorp. So, all right, I mean, that seems like a normal thing to invest in. He's investing in a bank. Guy can invest in whatever the hell he wants. But did people know that the destruction of the Trump shuttle had to do with refinancing from Citigroup somehow? The deal made on the Trump shuttle, US Air will buy it and the bank debt will be forgiven. They announced that it had reached an agreement with the Trump organization and Citibank to operate the Trump shuttle for up to 10 years with an option to buy it after 5. The group of banks led by Citibank that financed the $365 million purchase of the shuttle will own the airline. Now, what I found interesting about the Trump shuttle is that it operated something like, I don't know, 14 or more Boeing 727s. It's a very interesting jet, the Boeing 727. Jeffrey Epstein flew one as recently as 2000. When was he arrested? 2019? Why was a guy worth over $500 million flying a 60-year-old jet? You know, Charles, again, he's like, oh no, people buy these old jets because the depreciation and blah, blah, blah. I said, I understand. I know that. However, 60 years old, that's very old. I think 20 years old is sort of a normal age for a jet to be operating. 30 years old, commercial airlines in the United States will not operate a jet that's 30 years old. It'll be sold off to some sort of secondary third world market. I should have asked her what she thought of the assassination. But beyond 30 years, you're not going to see a jet operating. Now, a private operator might be different, but even so. And beyond the age, the 727 is like the rarest Boeing model. It was discontinued a long time ago, finding parts for it, finding competent mechanics for it, pilots who are rated to fly it. Why would you do that? You can buy 737s all day and night. That's the most common Boeing jet. The key difference being the 727 has that rear door that you can open in flight and drop stuff out. Dead people, JDAM bombs, big giant bags of cocaine. I don't know, drop whatever you want out if it's your 727. I don't have one. Trump shuttle had like 15 of them. Where'd they go? I don't know. But Google around on the 727, you'll see there's a real weird history with that jet. And I don't know, Alwaleed, there he is with the Citigroup screwing up the Trump shuttle. The other thing is, Alwaleed, they say, oh, he saved him many times. Saudi prince helped save Trump from bankruptcy twice. I don't think that's it. I think he tried to cause the Trump bankruptcy twice. That's my opinion. This is the Trump princess. Now it's like KR5 or something owned by Alwaleed. But Alwaleed also bought the Plaza Hotel from Trump. That's what this article is talking about, saying that that saved him from bankruptcy or something like that. In 1995, Trump was in deep trouble. People can look up these articles. But this is telling us that, you know, Alwaleed was trying to help Trump. That's what George would tell you he was doing with me. He helped build Crowdsource the Truth. I owe him money. I'd be nowhere without him. That's what he would tell you. That's not true. He was set upon me to try to destroy Crowdsource the Truth when it was brand new, try to get me put in jail, and to make me the poster child for censorship on the internet. That's my opinion, based on the public domain evidence that I've seen. A lot of it is very detailed, and maybe some people haven't seen it or haven't seen it in the detail that I have. It's still public. court documents and things like that, things that he's done in Michigan, weird things that normal people wouldn't do, filing forged documents in court. That's a felony. Why would you do that unless you were granted the authority to commit otherwise illegal activity by the FBI? We know that the Director General of the Department of, what is it? Not the Director General, the guy who writes those reports. What was Horowitz's role there? Inspector General. They have a list of guidelines of what the FBI can do with these confidential informants, and allowing them to engage in otherwise illegal activity is something that they can do. So granting somebody the authority to file a forged document in federal court, I mean, some of this otherwise illegal activity includes murder. Whitey Bulger, Gregory Scarpa, these are mafia informants who, the FBI knew they were involved in murders and things like that. So the notion that they would allow somebody to file a forged document in federal court, not that big of a stretch. And also, by the way, George's brother has been suing me repeatedly over the past 8 years, something like 20 plus times. I've had so many motions in court now to try to get him enjoined from doing that. Motions under FRCP Rule 11, which is supposed to prevent people from, suing people just to harass them. It's a pretty standard type of motion to file. I'm not an attorney. Nothing I'm saying is legal advice. I'm just telling people about historical facts and things that I've done. If you are a lawyer, you'll understand. Somebody sues me 20 times in 8 years, and I'm filing Rule 11 motions saying, hey, this guy's already sued me for this and it's been dismissed. This guy is suing me just to harass me. He's entering false documents, false statements. That's the type of thing that normally a judge would sanction a person for, send them a warning and say, hey, this is a court order, like what Nina got the judge to do to me, saying if you continue to do X, Y, and Z, you'll be in violation of this order, and that'll be contempt of court, and then we'll have a contempt hearing, and if it rises to criminal contempt, you could go to jail for that kind of stuff. Who would do that? Who would do that, apart from somebody who's been instructed to do it and granted the authority by the FBI to engage in otherwise illegal activities? So there we go. Trump, Alwaleed, they've got this ongoing feud. Alwaleed, he also owns the Trump Princess, the yacht. No, we got this already. Here's the one I wanted to show everybody. The yacht crashed recently. Saudi Princess super yacht, once owned by Trump, and featured in a Bond movie. Isn't that interesting? I don't know that I remembered that detail. Featured in the Bond movie. The other thing I didn't know until I saw this morning is that the yacht supposedly has a hospital on board. So what is this yacht? By the way, this yacht was owned by Adnan Khashoggi, Jamal Khashoggi's uncle, I believe. So there's some kind of relationship between the Khashoggis, Trump, Alwaleed, this friggin' yacht. What is that? And again, see, the yacht is anomalous to me because just like why would Jeffrey Epstein want a 60-year-old 727? It's not just that it's old and difficult to service. It's so outdated. It didn't have the kind of digital avionics that a modern plane had. It was difficult to upgrade to that because it was a kind of a rare model compared to a 737. The engines that it used were kind of inefficient and noisy. You had to have all kinds of upgrades to get it to even comply with noise requirements of certain airports. Like, why would you continue to maintain this type of jet? There's very few 727s still in operation today, and it was really not that long ago that Jeffrey Epstein was flying this damn plane. And I find some of that to match the anomalous nature of, why would Alwaleed, one of the richest dudes in, want this old yacht that's been thrice owned? Wouldn't he be the type of guy to be getting a custom built, like Jeff Bezos type yacht made? Why does he want the old yacht? Is there something on there that Jamal Khashoggi? We know there's a hospital. It's in the James Bond movie. Why? Is it because somebody knows that this thing can launch secret torpedoes or countermeasures against torpedoes? Or maybe it's got some technology on it that's unique to the yacht that would be difficult to recreate. I don't know. This is speculation. I don't know. I'm just looking at the evidence of the ownership history, the very bizarre ownership history of the yacht, and wondering what's going on. So now, back to Elon Musk. He is there saying, oh, I'm going to help Trump. And remember how that came about. I found this very suspicious as well. Trump is there in Butler, Pennsylvania. Oh, we're days away, 1 week away from today, from the 1-year anniversary of the Butler, PA assassination attempt. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Why are they hassling this person? You got people riding bikes and doing drugs all over the place, and they're bothering this person?
That's all it is. And when I talk to her, don't talk about my that's okay, she charges me. Like, why?
I don't know what's going on there. But immediately after Trump is shot, survives, Elon Musk said, oh, I 100% support Trump. I don't know, it just struck me as weird. Now look, that's insufficient evidence to come to the conclusion that what if Elon Musk was part of a plan to assassinate Trump, and as soon as it failed, he immediately went into an improvised plan B, or maybe it was a pre-planned plan B. I'm not saying that's what happened, I'm just saying it was a little bit weird the way Elon Musk reacted, in my opinion. Immediately supported Trump, and then he became so supportive of Trump. You know, he said some things that were arguably a little bit over the top, that he loves Trump as much as a man can love another man and stuff like that. Oh yeah, and remember that time when Elon Musk was in the White House and his little son X was talking to Trump? Let's listen to that.
A significant part of the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, are we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, X, we would have to, if you it's all right. Tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes.
See, what did he say to him? Did he say, you're not even the president, you need to go away, something like that? I mean, that's kind of a complex thought for a 4-year-old kid to come up with. Are 4-year-old kids formulating those kind of ideas, you think? Or is that something that he heard somebody say and he's repeating it? I found it was interesting because Elon Musk says, oh, gravitas is whatever he said, and he is mimicking that stance, that position. So he's just really monkey see, monkey do, right? Whatever daddy is doing, he's trying to do. So did X overhear some conversation where Elon Musk is saying, look, this guy's not even really in charge, he's got to go, and X is repeating some version of that? I don't know. That's speculation. But it was weird, right? I don't think we saw X in the Oval Office after that. It's very weird. I don't know. What do people think of all this? How are the, let's see what the comments say. Jets are very safe. Well, but Joe, I'm not saying the jet is unsafe. I'm saying it's old and expensive to maintain and inefficient compared to a newer jet. You're going to fly it around the world to Africa. It's got less range. You get to some foreign country, they're not going to have the parts, whereas a 737, they have them all over the place. You know, it just seems strange to me. Elon in Butler, PA, no. Elon made the comment on Twitter after Trump survived the assassination attempt in Butler, PA, is what I'm saying, and it just seemed like a very knee-jerk reaction to me, a very instant response. Now, you know, his explanation is that Trump displayed such bravery by standing up and, you know, putting his fist in the air and saying, fight, 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 and we want somebody brave and strong to represent America. I mean, that sounds good, but he had months and months to formulate that. He sort of just said, oh, I support Trump immediately after the shot happened. And then we still have this unexplained issue of this laser in the window on the first floor of American Glass Research at exactly 6:11 and 33 seconds. That hasn't been explained. It's a 1/5 of a second coherent laser dot that I say is an infrared beam pointing at Trump out the window. Somebody is operating that, pressing it right up against the glass. And we also have what appear to be drones flying around. That also hasn't been proven. Looks to me like that's what it is. I don't have any doubt that that's what it is. And Palmer Luckey freaks out when I talk about that stuff. It's weird to me that somebody worth billions would care what I have to say. Those guys are just two bozos on the street, so I walk by. Now see, look, we're still stuck in the park. Why doesn't it update? It's like everybody's watching a slideshow. Was waving at me. They were interesting. There we go. So terrible today. I'm not sure why. I don't know that there's anything I can do to fix it anyway. We're getting close to the end of this conversation. I've basically laid out what I wanted to lay out. Is Elon Musk in cahoots with globalist billionaires like Alwaleed bin Talal, who actually want to use Twitter to foment a coup in the United States of America in the way the Arab Spring worked? And by the way, it sure seems like it because worked so well, you know. They love these types of things where you don't need an actual connection. They love these things where oh, see, because we're set to low latency. That's got to be the problem. If we switch to optimized Wi-Fi, does that help it? Can I do that on the fly? How did that get switched? It's because there was an update to this thing. I don't know if that'll work, but that had to be it. Low latency was the problem. We want Wi-Fi. I don't think I can change it while I'm already going. All right, well, how did that get switched? I didn't voluntarily switch that. Here's a Tesla right now. Is that Elon Musk? They love when these Twitter clones, didn't they use it in Iraq and Afghanistan as well? I've heard that, or Libya, these localized social media things. See, I guess the problem is in the United States, it's so large and so widely used. Maybe that's a little more difficult to manage. Yeah, see, okay, that's my clue for the future. If I'm not hearing the long echo in my ear, I should have known that was a problem. Okay, well, now we know why it's not working, and knowing is half the battle. This guy's out of control on the bike on the street, one hand in his pocket, one hand up his ass. But yeah, I'm convinced that Elon Musk bought Twitter in cahoots with Alwaleed to specifically stab Trump in the back from the jump. And that's why he didn't respond to me trying to tell him about the FBI taking over Twitter. He got Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger to report the Twitter files. Those dudes are stooges. Remember, Matt Taibbi had that event in Brooklyn where Ezra Frisch showed up. Ezra Frisch is an obvious plant. He is on the level of crackhead Barney, but not much. And Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger have avoided information from the Twitter coup like it's the plague, which is weird to me because it's, you know, right up the alley of what they were doing. And also Mike Benz, he's avoided it too. Remember when I was outside Madison Square Garden and there was Jack Posobiec, who's published that stupid book about the Trump assassination attempt. So were all these people covering up the assassination? Why would Jack Posobiec do that? Who was really behind this assassination attempt? It wasn't Thomas Crooks. Crooks wasn't even there. Crooks is still alive. He's part of the crew. But it definitely seems like Maxwell Yerrick got killed on the roof. See, it's amazing, all this complicated stuff in one little setting off can really screw up the whole entire show. How did that get switched? That's such a deep setting that I never mess with.
That's like the real self you stick there. Check 1, 2.
That guy, we're live. Anyway, all right, so I'm gonna wrap it up, I guess, because this is annoying, and now that I know that it's not gonna resolve. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you like this kind of information and these insights, even with the technical glitches, please become a sponsor on subscribestar.com. patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. You can also sponsor on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. And if you've been watching free for the past 3 months on Odyssey, particularly people who were sponsored there, I hope you'll send a sponsorship payment to paypal.me/crowdsourcethetruth. It was a major hit to my income to lose all those sponsors overnight when the payment processing on Odyssey went away. They're using cryptocurrency now, so if you want to get into that, you can do that. You can also follow me on X at JG_CSTT. Subscribe on there. You can access the sponsor exclusive shows like that. Thanks again. I hope everybody's having a great 4th of July weekend. I don't trust Elon Musk. Oh yeah, by the way, Goodman versus the City of New York, the lawsuit that he's avoided, where his people, see, this ties to this as well. This makes a lot of sense because, see, if he gets into court with me in Goodman versus the City of New York and we start finding out that I'm right about some of my allegations, that he's got some kind of super secret deal with the NYPD that allows his personal bodyguards to carry concealed weapons, which nobody else in New York City is really allowed to do, which, by the way, they've been deputized as U.S. Marshals now, so they can conceal carry anywhere in the United States of America. That's a pretty unique thing. Pretty good for him. But that's why they don't want to tangle with Goodman versus the City of New York, because it risks exposing all this evidence in open court. So what kind of country do we have if we're told that you can seek justice in the courts and nobody is above the law, except for this long list of people who, if you cross, they're above the law, and you're not going to get anywhere in court trying to deal with them. Yeah, today's presentation has been something of a show. That's very irritating. Reinforced Wi-Fi is what we need to have, not low latency. I don't know how it got switched to low latency.
Yes,
I never used the low latency feature, and it wasn't a problem the other day. I guess there was an update, maybe an automatic update to the software overnight, and the people who make the software might have accidentally caused it to revert to that setting, but very disappointing, I must say. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your weekend, and thanks for watching.